Wuthering Waves Patch 3.2 Segue is a proper setup story. It follows up on the situation with the dark side by explaining the mystery of the rabbit and how it links to the Fraxidus, as well as set up Patch 3.3, which is shaping up to be a finale of sorts. It shows us who will be the major players in Patch 3.3, as well as gives us more insight on the Grand Architect and their connection with Denia. Not only that, it feels like we finally get a proper introduction to Lucilla as well. There's some good stuff in here, but before we continue, greetings, I'm Seraphilor. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you consider subscribing, and if you're not new, welcome back. Let's talk about Patch 3.2's afterstory. The story doesn't pick up immediately after we left off, but we do get a proper introduction to Lucilla and her resonance abilities. When I heard about memory-type resonators from her quests in the Whispers Between Stars event, I was curious if this would relate to her in some way, and sure enough it did. She can effectively edit and remove her own memories, literally like post-production in a movie. She can even parse the memories of others through items they have an attachment to. To say that it's convenient yet troublesome is putting it lightly. We'll get back to her abilities later, but for now, Rover and Lucilla go over what happened in the last trip to the dark side, where Segue confronts her shadow self. Rover brings up the rabbit that they encountered in the dark side. That's where we're told again that the rabbit is the source of the anomalies in the dark side. Multiple students have run into this rabbit and met their shadow selves, leading Lucilla to suspect a connection between the students. And so, Lucilla has to secretly meet another professor in order to get a personal item of his for her to parse, as he was yet another person who encountered this rabbit. We managed to find Professor Segue, and after a brief discussion with him, we obtain his medal and have Lucilla use her powers on it. Here we enter a playable segment where we control Lucilla, which is very amusing. I have a sneaky suspicion she was meant to be playable in 3.2, but I guess the story was rewritten, so they pushed her further back. We now know she's not playable in 3.3, so will she be playable in 3.4? Only time will tell. Regardless, this segment was very interesting, as we learn how the rabbit toys with people by forcing them into impossible situations. With Segue, the rabbit wanted him to put his life on the line for the sake of scientific research, and we can assume that the rabbit has done the same for the other students. It was the same with Segue herself, taking her perfectionist nature to its extreme. Also, huge shout out to Pascal for being mentioned in the exchange between Segue and his shadow. I never imagined we'd hear his name again. For those who forgot, he was Shangli Yao's childhood friend and developed a tool to detect when Tassin fields were formed in the world. However, he died in a wave-worn phenomenon, and his research was left incomplete. Hearing that bit of lore is locked behind a quest no one can do again, I'm surprised it was brought up, and it shows the writers pay close attention to continuity than people think. Anyway, with this, we now know how the rabbit is triggered. A memory-type resonator needs to use their forte to manipulate space. Lucilla does this to draw out the rabbit, and this is where we get her backstory. From the rabbit's melodramatic approach, we learn that after she awoke her resonance abilities, she used her powers to the point where she could no longer discern her own identity. It sounds horrifying in retrospect, discovering your powers only to realize it's eroding your sense of self. The animation techniques used during the sequence was great too. The rabbit taking Lucilla's form and appearing through the screen was a lot like Iris. Unfortunately for the rabbit, Lucilla doesn't fall for its taunts, and even after showing her a what-if scenario where her identity loss prevents her from becoming president of Star George, she holds strong. I like Lucilla a lot. She's as put together as her appearance suggests. She acknowledges her faults and acknowledges the collective fear of the unknown, and she takes them head on. She uses the rabbit's desperate attempts to tear her down as proof that herself and Star Torch Academy are on the right path. After being surrounded by tacit discords, Rover and eventually Hiyuki appear to assist her. Hiyuki holds back the tacit discords as we search for the rabbit in hiding. This section was pretty amusing, as if you pay close attention, you can find the rabbit right away. Not me though. I'm too stupid and search the hordes of rabbits like an ignoramus. After catching it, someone else speaks through it, Navora, or rather, the Grand Architect. The rabbit's expressions here are crazy. Kuro really gave a rabbit a smug aura without cartoonifying it. These animators are getting too powerful. The Grand Architect taunts Lucilla and Rover, stating the game isn't over yet, and they plan on destroying the entirety of Lahai Roy, a statement that shakes Lucilla for once. We get a scene with Navora and Denia after this, and we learn the details of the experiment on the dark side and the memory-type resonators the rabbit abused. It seems like memory-type resonators are especially sensitive to void matter, or rather, Aleph 1, as the Grand Architect implies that they are the opposite of the void. This experiment seemed to test memory-type resonators on their ability to resist void matter corruption, and how long they can do it before it consumes them. As the Grand Architect moves on to make preparations, Denia questions what will happen to the rabbit they used in this experiment. The Grand Architect dumps the rabbit's charm, and the callous action shakes Denia to her core. It's here that she finally realizes that the Grand Architect treats anyone and everyone as pawns. Either make yourself useful or be discarded like trash. This adds yet another layer to the Grand Architect's character. You wouldn't be blamed if you believed that they had a soft spot for the overseers like Scar, Cristoforo, and Frolova. But it's clear beyond reasonable doubt that if they outlive their usefulness, the Grand Architect could throw them away too. The story ends with a meeting between Hiyuki and Lucilla. Hiyuki is incredibly stoic, but I have a feeling we'll see her open up in the future, if the gameplay showcase is anything to go by. Not even Luke's bizarre candies could make her change her expressions. Anyway, we learned that Hiyuki has some special power that the Academy tried to keep hidden from the Fraxidus. However, it's a moot point now, as they know her existence. Lucilla tells her that even if the Threnodians sealed under the Space Trek Collective awakens and consumes the area, the Academy still has their trump card, Hiyuki herself. The story sets up the stakes for 3.3 very well. The Fraxidus are making their move, and the Academy isn't going into this blindly. They've made their contingency plans, and they've locked in on IMS frequencies as well. Patch 3.3 is shaping up to be a massive clash between the Fraxidus and the Academy, and I can't wait to see how it all comes together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later.